Welcome to Japan.
Japan. Ever in the crossroads between its past and its future, Japan struggles always to find a balance between tradition and modernity. One of the largest problems that Japan is facing today is an aging crisis. Japan has a very low mortality rate, coupled with a very low fertility rate.
The result is more and more old people in Japan, and fewer young people. Japan's population is aging, and it is doing so rapidly.
According to a government report, Japan's current population of 127 million will go down to 106 million by 2040, and it will decline to 86 million by 2060. That's 30% decrease from 2010. In addition, by the time Japan reaches 2060, the largest demographic will become 86-year-olds. That's 4 out of 10 people who will be over the age of 65. Whoa. How does a country like this survive?
To deal with the chronic labor shortage, some companies are developing ways for the elderly to work longer. Cyberdyne makes an exoskeleton for the waist that makes lifting heavy loads easier. This 67-year-old construction worker is using it to move power distribution boards. This nursing home is testing a similar device so elderly workers can still do the heavy lifting to handle patients. Some health facilities have struggled to find enough able-bodied workers to do back-straining caretaking jobs.
"64-year-old Toshio Nagakita used to be wheelchair-bound, but now he's training to walk using a robotic leg. It picks up signals sent from his brain to his muscles and helps him move. Now he can almost walk without support.
I'm more stable now. I still use a cane, but little by little my balance and the rhythm with which I walk are improving."
At Cyberdyne, they are inspired by the world of science fiction, but their technology is science fact, and it's increasingly useful in a country with an aging population.
The population of aged person increases day by day, and now so we should prepare such kind of technology for such kind of aged society.
While the world's population is approaching 7 billion, Japan's population is declining, and companies are competing to come up with new technologies to help the elderly. Panasonic's latest invention is this robotic bed, which can transform itself into a moving chair, allowing a disabled person to get around at night.
Thanks to robot technology, it's possible for people to be more and more independent. A market for this technology is developing not only in Japan, but in the rest of the world.
23% of Japanese are aged over 65, and by 2055 it will be more than 40%. But not all of the elderly are using the latest technology. In Tokyo, every day hundreds of elderly people go to wash the Togenuki, a Buddhist statue which is thought to relieve aches and pains.
In terms of population size, it's going to shrink at a relatively rapid pace, and population aging is going to proceed even farther, and we're going to have ultra-aged population. Fertility, which is very low already, is probably going to go up a little bit, but I don't think we're going to recover what we call replacement level fertility. So if it continues, this population decline and aging is going to continue. We also have this improvement in longevity, especially at older ages, especially among older women. And that's another, it's a good thing, but also it's going to add to aging.
So what would you say are the implications for economic growth in Japan for the next 20 years?
If anything, it's just not good, right? Because it's going to be affecting the consumption patterns and production and those things. I think Japanese industries are okay because many of them are under this economic globalization. They are going out of Japan, especially in manufacturing and all those things. So industries are fine. But what we are really worried about is sort of internal or domestic economic growth. It's going to be tough. And hopefully we can bring a lot of people into Japan so that they can help us to maintain these living standards, and hopefully we can sort of return whatever they give us in terms of this mutual profitability, because we need a lot of people to help us, especially like medical care industries and care of the elderly industries. There's more demand than the supply. So hopefully we can somehow manage, but it's going to be tough, yes.
And in terms of immigration, have you looked at the numbers? How many immigrants do you need to be able to grow at zero population?
Well, I mean, according to the estimate I calculated based on the replacement migration report published by the United Nations in 2001, to maintain the population size in year 2000 by 50 years later, which is 2050, I think we need annually on average the net migration means the difference between immigrants and out-migrants, about 340,000 every year for 50 years. It's just to maintain the population size. And now we have roughly about 2 million legal non-Japanese living in Japan. So every year, around 340,000. It's a big number. I don't think it's unattainable, but it is not easy.
So are both government and society ready for those kinds of numbers?
Okay, as it is now, in general, I don't think it's not yet. Especially government is very careful about sort of loosening up this condition for accepting immigrants or immigrants. But I think we don't have any choice. But how we're going to do it, in what magnitude, I think is the subject of debate.